Welcome to my class, student. It's class 8 English. It so happened we are doing chapter 3, the selfish giant, and this is text and this is session 4. In this story, what you have seen there was a giant. He was a selfish giant. After 7 years, after visiting from his friend's house, when he returned back, he found in his garden there were many children. He was very angry and he ordered them not to play in the garden, and he put up a notice board, trespassers will be prosecuted. Then he said the garden belonged to him, so he was the only person to play there. Children were very unhappy. They had no place to play. And in the garden, what happened? Spring didn't come. It was winter always. Frost, snow, north wind, hail. They were very happy to be there because in rest of the country, there was spring, but in that garden only there was winter. So they were very happy, and the giant was thinking why the spring hadn't come. One day, what he heard a beautiful music. It was a linnet singing, and when he looked out of his window, he saw a beautiful sight, most beautiful sight. He saw children had crept into the garden through a hole, and on every tree there was a child, and where there was child, there was spring. Birds were singing, grasses were there, flowers were there. Everywhere there was a delightful sight. But at the farthest corner of the garden, there was still winter, and he noticed a tiny boy, a very little boy, couldn't reach up to the tree. So he was crying, he was bitterly crying, and the tree was trying to bend its branch to help the child to climb. But child was so small, and above the tree, snow, frost and north wind, they were playing, they were roaring. So the giant went into the garden. Other children fled away, ran away to see the giant. But the little boy couldn't see the giant because he was crying. His eyes were filled with tears. But what the giant did, he just helped the child to sit at the top of the tree. The child was very happy. He hugged the giant and kissed him, and the spring came there, and other children also entered the garden because they found the giant very friendly. With the children, spring also came. The giant decided that he would allow the children to play in the garden forever, and he knocked down the wall. In the afternoon, when people came at 12 o'clock, they found giant playing with children, and it was the most beautiful garden, and it was the most beautiful scene also. That's the giant, from the selfish giant, he has turned into a kind-hearted and an unselfish giant. Let's see what happened in this part of the story. All day long they played, and in the evening they came to giant to bid him goodbye. But where is your little companion? He said. The boy I put into the tree. The giant loved him the best because he had kissed him. See, the little boy kissed the giant. So the giant loved him very much, and he always inquired about the child. Where was your little companion? We don't know, answered the children. He has gone away. You must tell him to be sure and come tomorrow. The giant was saying to children, so whenever you find that little boy, please say him to come every day and meet with me and play with me, said the giant. But the children said that they did not know where he lived and had never seen him before, and the giant felt very sad. children didn't know about that little boy. They didn't know about his residence, his whereabouts, his parents. So how could they inform the little boy that a giant wanted to meet him? So the giant was very sad. Every afternoon when school was over, the children came and played with the giant. But the little boy whom the giant loved was never seen again. The giant was very kind to all the children, yet he longed for his little friend, wished for his little friend, and often spoke of him. How I would like to see him, he used to say. Always he was waiting for the little boy, but he was not there. Only that day he was there, and he kissed the giant, he hugged him. But after that day, he was nowhere. Never he came to the garden. Years went by, and the giant grew very old and feeble. He has become very old and feeble. Feeble means weak. Feeble means weak. He could not play about anymore. So he sat in a huge armchair and watched the children at their games and admired his garden. So now he could not play with children because he has become very old and he was feeble also. So he just used to see them playing at the garden and he always admired at his garden. I have many beautiful flowers, he said, but the children are the most beautiful flowers of all. Children are the most beautiful flowers. Though he had many beautiful flowers, but he considered children as the most beautiful flowers. See, everywhere you are seeing the use of most. Everywhere, because it was the most beautiful. Here earlier you have read the line most beautiful music, most wonderful sight, most beautiful garden. Here most beautiful flower. See, the giant is old and feeble and he is watching at children playing in the garden, and what he is saying, yes, I have many beautiful flowers, but children are the most beautiful flower. See the illustration, see the picture, so beautifully illustrated. Children are playing so happily, birds are twittering. One winter morning, he looked out of his window as he was dressing. He did not hate the winter now, for he knew that it was merely the spring asleep and that the flowers were resting. So in one winter, now he didn't hate winter. Earlier when there was winter only, he used to say when the winter would go. But now he understood. Now spring is sleeping and flowers are resting. So winter is there. So one winter morning, suddenly he rubbed his eyes in wonder and looked and looked. It certainly was a marvelous sight. What was the marvelous sight? Let's see. See, it was all winter outside. Now he didn't hate winter because he understood spring was asleep and flowers are resting. So he was just looking out of his window, the giant. And what was the most wonderful sight, marvelous sight? In the farthest corner of the garden was a tree quite covered with lovely white blossoms. Its branches were golden and silver fruit hung down from them. And underneath it stood the little boy he had loved. See, the little boy who had kissed him, hugged him, the same little boy underneath the tree who had lovely white blossoms, golden branches and silver fruits. Don't you think it's a marvelous sight? Yes, it was a marvelous sight. Downstairs ran the giant in the great joy and out into the garden. He was so happy to find his little companion after many years. He was so happy. So he ran and he was so happy. He hastened across the grass and came near to the child. And when he came quite close, his face grew red with anger. And he said, "Who had dared to wound thee?" For on the palms of the child's hands were the prints of 2 nails. And the prints of 2 nails were on the little feet. Understood who the child was? Didn't? You will soon. Now, what happened? He hastened across the grass, he reached to the child, and when he went near to the child, he was very angry because he saw the child was wounded. He was not well. What were the wounds? He had, prints of 2 nails on his hands and on his little feet. Who had prints of nail? Understood now? Later I will say. The giant went near to the child and he was very angry to see prints of nails on his little hand and on his little feet. Who had dared to wound thee? Tell me, I would kill the person. Now the child was just seeing the giant's concern. And what was the reply? With the reply you would understand who the little child was. Now you just enjoy the illustration. Old giant, feeble giant, and the giant has grown old, but the boy hasn't grown younger. See, he's still the same little child. How can it be? How can it be? The child is not grown, but the giant has grown old. Understood now? You haven't yet understood? Okay, later I will tell you. Who had dared to wound thee? Cried the giant. Tell me that I may take my big sword and slay him. Nay, answered the child, but these are the wounds of love. Who art thou? Said the giant, and the strange awe fell of him. He was just speechless. Who had kissed him? Who had hugged him? None other than only Jesus Christ. It was Jesus Christ who had changed his heart. It was Jesus Christ who has made him unselfish, kind-hearted, and the strange awe fell on him, and he knelt before the little child. See, there was 3 clues. The child was not grown. He was still the little child. There were prints of nail on his palms and feet. And third, what did he say? These are the wounds of love. So, the giant understood that he was Jesus Christ. Now, outslay them means outkill them. Nay means no. And who art thou? Who are you? And the child smiled on the giant and said to him, You let me play once in your garden. Today you shall come with me to my garden, which is paradise. So, God has come to take his soul, take the soul of giant to his garden, and that is paradise. Understood? What is the beautiful twist and turn in giant's life? Earlier what was he, and now what he has become? And when the children ran in that afternoon, they found the giant lying dead under the tree, all covered with white blossoms. This is the beauty of the story. This is the beautiful end of the story. And how nicely Oscar Wilde has written the story. Each and every line, each and every word, it's filled with so much beauty and art. It's the art of writing. How he has explained the garden, how he has explained the garden in winter, in spring, how he has expressed the importance of children in one's life, and how he has presented God, Jesus Christ, as a little boy, and how at the end little boy came, Jesus Christ came as a little boy and took soul of the giant to his garden, that is paradise. Superb story. You must have enjoyed it. You must have liked the story. Now, see. Know where the child is. The giant is lying dead. All the white blossoms, white flowers on him. And this is the garden with golden flowers. And this is Jesus Christ. See? Soul. This bird is soul of the giant, and he is taking the soul to his paradise. See the illustration? See the beauty? This is the end of the story. So what have you learned from this story? So, what have you learned from the story? This story has taught us that we should not be selfish. Whatever we have that is beautiful, we should share it with others. If we have garden, the garden is for children. If we have something that we can share with others, we should definitely share. And Oscar Wilde has written this beautiful and unforgettable story, The Selfish Giant. You must have enjoyed it. Please tell the story to your friends. Go through the slides again and again. Understand the beauty of the story. See the illustration and enjoy it. In the next class, I will teach the question answers of this story. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.